There was this 18-year-old girl named Bella, and she spent a lot of time, hiking in the woods, and something hits her in the head. She finds it's a dead animal. Beaver's head appeared to have been almost like surgically removed.
It's fresh.
The head is stitched onto its paws, positioned in front of its body like this. From somewhere in her periphery, she hears a bell, and this tall, dark figure walks out from behind a tree. There's this bell that's attached to its hip. The police went out there. They found one of Bella's shirts that she hadn't brought out there. It was folded up and left under a rock. In June of 2019, there was this 18-year-old girl named Bella, and she had just wrapped up her first year in college, and she gets back home, and one of the first things she does is she's like, I'm gonna go hike out to the man-made lake, do the thing I love so much growing up. And so she parks, she gets out, she starts this hike, she goes through the woods, she reaches the stream, she's walking along, and everything's going great. But when she's maybe, like 45 minutes or so, or an hour into the hike, she hasn't seen anybody, it's daytime, she starts to hear something. And at first she can't even tell what it is, but she's truly like in the middle of the forest and there's nobody around. She heard what sounded like a bell, but it wasn't very loud. I mean, it was loud enough that she could hear it clearly, but she couldn't tell if it was like a big like cowbell size bell, or if it's like a little bell, or if it's on a church steeple somewhere, but she's like, there aren't any churches anywhere near here. And so she stops. The sound of the bell doesn't really add up. But as she's sitting there and she's listening to this bell, somewhere out there, it just stops. And so she had stopped there for at least a couple of minutes, and she heard it long enough that she experienced it, but then it just stopped. But she looks up ahead, and off to the side of this stream she's walking along, she sees something on the ground, and she doesn't know what it is. And there's a little goat trail that it looks like a goat trail that follows the stream, and it's basically on the trail, and it's like this dark mass that's on the ground. And so she walks up to it, there's nobody around, the bell sound's gone, and she finds it's an animal. It's a dead animal. It's a beaver. And at first, animals die out here. There are animals out here. She wasn't overthinking it. But as she got close to it, she realized that its head was gone. Its head was missing, which again, in the wild, it happens, animal predation, it is what it is. But she quickly noticed that the beaver's head appeared to have been almost like surgically removed. That the cut across its neck looked so clean that like a butcher had made it with a knife. Like this was not, an animal shredding the beaver apart. This was a tool was used to cut the head off. And so that goes through her head. So the first thing she thinks after that is, that's weird, but she kicks it with her foot and she feels it's kind of like still, it's not rigid yet. Rigor mortis hasn't set in. And she's thinking, oh my gosh, I've stumbled across some other predator's prey. They were in the process of like maybe eating this thing, heard me, and it scattered off.
It's fresh.
It's fresh, and she doesn't smell like decomposing or anything. And so she starts to worry that there's like, some, knife-wielding bear or something in the wool, or whatever. She doesn't know what it is, but there's some predator nearby that's like killed this beaver. But again, she's thinking it's weird that its head has been removed so surgically. But after a minute or two, she just kind of convinces herself that like, you know what, I'm in the wild, it's a dead animal in the wild. Yeah, it's weird, but not that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. And so she just decides to walk on and just forget about the beaver. And so she walks the next 15 minutes or so. She meets the east to west running river. She turns, she follows the east to west running river to the man-made lake. She has a nice time, sightseeing and doing exactly what she wanted to do. And then, at a certain point, she turns around and begins to retrace her steps. And so she walks back along the river, she turns, she gets back on the stream. And as she's walking, 15 minutes goes by, there's the beaver. The predator has not come back to claim it. No one seems to have claimed it. It's just, it's just here. She did think that was a little bit odd. Like if something killed it, probably would have taken it by now. But either way, it's still here. Walks past the beaver carcass and just continues her walk all the way, the hour and a half from there, all the way back to the road. She gets in her car, she drives home. Overall, successful day. Weird bell, fine. Weird beaver, fine. But overall, normal day. So she's at home for the next week, and she visits her family, and she does all these different things. But after a week goes by, she's sort of bored. She's home, the novelty of being home from college is sort of worn off, and she's sort of bored. And on a night, this is a week after this hiking trip she's just been on, it's a night, she's at her house, and she's just bored, and she's like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to the man-made lake. I just love it out there. I love hiking. I'm gonna go for a hike. However, remember, it takes 2 hours just to get to the lake, and then however long you're gonna be there, and then 2 hours to get back, and that's assuming no setbacks at all. And she decides to head out at like 5, 6 o'clock at night. And, sundown, I think, was 8 o'clock that night. So basically, if she rushed, I think it was 9 o'clock, she basically had 3 hours until sundown. It takes 4 hours to do it. And so she was like, I'll hustle in there, I'll see the lake, and I'll hustle back, and it'll just be like it'll be more exercise than sightseeing, if anything. And she's done this hike so many times that she's not concerned about doing the trip. She's done this 100 times. She knows exactly what she's doing. But in addition to it getting dark out, there was a storm in the area. Hadn't started raining yet, but there was a chance of a thunderstorm that night. And so, I don't know if her parents or loved ones encouraged her not to go, but somehow or another, she did tell her parents that she was going to go out and do this hike, 6 o'clock at night here. And basically she said, I'm going to be quick about it. And so she leaves her house, and she drives over to the same, drop-off spot. She gets out, and it's starting to get dark, but not dark yet. She hikes into the forest, and she starts walking, and she gets to the stream, and she's walking along the stream. She's making good time. Everything's fine. There's nothing weird happening. And she gets all the way up to where the beaver is, and sure enough, the beaver it's still there. And in fact, it looked like it was decomposing somewhat, it had decomposed the amount you would expect. It sort of looked like it's been sitting here this whole time. She's thinking it's still odd that no one's claimed it. Nothing has claimed it, but either way, here it is. By the time she reaches the beaver, though, it's really starting to get dark out, which was expected, but also it's starting to rain. And the beaver is about 45 minutes from the lake. It's 15 minutes to the river, 30 minutes to the lake from there. And so it's starting to get dark, it's starting to rain. And so she's sort of reached a point at the beaver where she needs to make a decision. Am I going to keep going or not? And she decides that, you know what, screw it. I'm going to keep going. I'm so close. I just want to get there and I'll turn around. And so from the beaver, she starts hustling, practically running to the river. But the sky, it really just like opens up, and it's like thunderstorm, lightning. It's completely downpouring. She still makes that turn at the east-west river, and she's like running, trying to get to the man-made lake, but she's realizing, like, what am I doing this for? Like, it's becoming pretty dangerous what I'm doing. It's over an hour's hike back. I could fall, I could get hurt, like this isn't worth it. And what's the point to just say I went to the lake? So she gets, halfway down the east-west river before she's like, okay, I'm just gonna mail it in, turn around, retrace my steps, and head back home. So she turns around. It's literally just pure downpour at this point, and it's basically as dark as it is right now. And so she goes back to where the river meets with the stream. She turns, and as she's going along the stream now, the long straightaway that'll bring her, the hour and a half all the way back to her car, as she's on that path, when she turns onto it, it's raining so hard and it's so dark that she's basically looking straight down because she doesn't want to trip. It's rocky, that's not really a real path, it's wet. And so she's hustling, and she's got her head down, and she's avoiding falling this whole time, and she gets to where the beaver is. But she's not thinking that. She just gets to the point where the beaver is, and she's moving along as fast and as carefully as she can, and at some point, something hits her in the head. And she just like stops, and she looks up, and it's the beaver. The beaver is strung from a branch, suspended over the trail. It was tied up, basically hovering over the trail, like a trap you'd walk into. And it's got its head back, but the head is stitched onto its paws, positioned in front of its body like this.
Holy shit.
And it's decomposing, and so it's like slimy and gross, and she's walked square into it. But think about the implication here. When she came through 15 minutes ago, The dead beaver was right there on the ground. She's only been gone for like 15 minutes or so. And it's dark out, it's thunder and lightning out. She's over an hour away from her car in the middle of the forest. And this dead beaver is now suspended above the trail. It had to have happened in the last 15 minutes. And as she is figuring out what she's gonna do, from somewhere in her periphery, she hears a bell. It begins to ring in the forest right near her. It's the same bell she heard a week ago. She has no idea the connection, but it's undeniable that this is so horrifying. And she immediately goes into this mindset of like, I can't run. Because if I try to run from here, I'm gonna panic. I'm too far away to run. I have to like stay composed. And so she sidesteps the dangling carcass with its head, doing her best not to panic that clearly somebody's watching this. Someone's watching me right now. It's dark enough that she really can't see into the forest, and she's hearing this bell sort of off in the distance as it seems to be moving closer to her. She walks past the carcass and she starts basically speed walking, but controlled, back towards her car. And after maybe 10 or 15 steps, the bell sound starts getting louder and louder and louder. Something is sort of crashing through the woods behind her. But she's so scared, she doesn't want to turn around and look. And so she starts walking faster and faster along this trail. And with every step that she goes faster, this bell gets louder and louder. And it's like every step of whatever's behind her is getting louder and louder. Branches are falling. Something clearly is trailing her. And so eventually she just full-blown panics. And she just starts fucking hauling ass down this stream. She is just running as fast as she can, and the whole time there's this bell and crashing, it's raining, it's thundering and lightning. She has no idea what's going on. All she knows is there's something that is chasing her through the forest at this point, and it is like adrenaline mode, running as fast as she can. And as she's running, she pulls out her phone and she calls her dad, but he doesn't pick up. She puts her phone back, she's still running. And eventually she just trips after like running as fast as she can. She trips and face plants on the trail, hits her head pretty good. And as soon as she falls, she can hear the rain and thunder and lightning, but whatever was behind her stopped. The bell stopped, everything stopped. And she's just laying there, she's totally out of breath, but she kind of gets herself up. She hasn't turned around yet. She's still just like on the ground looking this way. And she knows that she's so far from her car at this point, like she has to just turn around and see what's behind her. She has to look, like she's too far, she's not gonna make it. Whatever it is, it's right behind her. And so she kind of composes herself a little bit, she's totally out of breath, and she turns around. And behind her, it's like, there's not much of a trail, but there's the trail she'd been running on next to the stream, and there's a little bit of a clearing where she's looking. And there's a little bit of moonlight coming through. And she's looking back basically out towards just a bunch of trees and a little bit of a clearing, and there's nothing there. There's nothing in the clearing. And for a second, she's thinking it's all in my head. And then she's thinking, did I have a bell on me? That's the sound it's been making? Have I been making this up in my head? But then somewhere off in the woods, she hears the bell ring, and this tall, dark figure walks out from behind a tree and stands in the middle of the trail and looks at her. And she sees there's this bell that's attached to its hip. And so every step it's taking, that's the sound of the bell, is this enormous creature that's, charging through the woods. And so she doesn't even know what it is. She doesn't know if it's human. She doesn't know what's going on, but she just gets up, turns, and just keeps on running. She pulls out her phone, and this time when she calls her dad picks up. And so she's charging through the woods. Her dad's on the line. She's screaming at him, like, come to the pickup point. Someone's chasing me through the woods. And she's running along, and the dad like instinctively knows, like clearly there's something going on. He and his wife hop in the car. They speed out to where her car was, where their daughter's car was. And the whole time, Bella's charging through the woods. This thing's chasing her with the bell. And when the parents actually got to the pickup point, they've been on the phone with Bella the whole time. She's been screaming and crying into the phone. And she would keep saying to them on the phone, Bella, that it has a bell. Can you hear the bell? Like almost to prove that it was actually real. This thing was really happening. And the parents would later say they could actually hear in the woods this bell just like chiming through the woods. Their daughter's being chased by whatever this thing is. And so the dad, he's like, where are you? And she's just running through the woods. He eventually just runs in after her, and he practically collides with her. She's like 15 minutes away. He runs into her. He grabs her. He turns around without even looking and basically runs her out of the woods. They practically jump into the car and they drive off. And there's nothing there as they're peeling away. Whatever it was, they couldn't even see it. And so the Bella and her family, they're like, she's so upset. Like they don't even know what to ask her. Like what the hell happened? They go straight to the police station because they don't know what else to do. Like they don't know what to make of this. They don't know how real this really was. They go to the police station And the police are like, all right, we'll take a look. Like, we don't know what to make of this either. And so the following day, when it was bright out, the police went out there to go search the woods, which, you know, there really shouldn't be anybody out there. And they couldn't find anything, except they found one of Bella's shirts that she hadn't brought out there that was folded up and left under a rock.
That she had not brought out there.
That was just out in the middle of the woods. And so she has not returned since. And so that is the Belle story.
What the? No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.